Before 2010, the term Exile in Magic didn't exist. Rather, the lengthy "remove from the game" was used. The first printings of Swords to Plowshares, for example, read, "Target creature is removed from game entirely." And once gone, that creature had no further impact on the game. It wasn't long, though, before Wizards realized removing cards from the game could be used to the benefit of the player doing so. In 1994, Wizards printed Frankenstein's Monster, which grows larger with each creature card exiled from your graveyard. Thus we get our first instance of gaining value from exiling cards from our own graveyard. In 1999, we get our first Blink effect, which removes a card from the game and then brings it back with the printing of Flicker in Urza's Destiny. But it wasn't until Future Sight, released in 2007, that Wizards took the idea of removing cards from the game to the next level. The Delve mechanic reduces the cost of a spell by 1 for each card exiled from your graveyard. The first of such cards were reasonably powered: Logic Knot, Tombstalker. Several years later, however, we see this mechanic's power level increased, with cards like Treasure Cruise and Murktide Regent. Wizards continued experimenting with exiling cards from your graveyard for value with cards like Psychic Frog, Ketramos the New Dawn, and the Forge mechanic from Bloomburrow. And now we get a unique card that takes advantage of the exile zone like no other: Cosmogoyf. Sure, we've seen Crackling Drake do something similar, but nothing to the power level of Cosmogoyf. It's just a casual 14-15. So the Serum Powder exiles. Nice. What a beautiful combo. I was wondering how someone was going to break this Cosmogoyf. Of course, I'm playing a mono green deck with no targeted removal, so Cosmogoyf can really shine. But still, that's a turn 2 14-15. And while Wizards keeps giving us new and fun ways to exile cards from our graveyard and use this to our advantage, what they haven't given us are good ways to interact with the exile zone of another player. It's true, we do have cards like Ruin Processor and the All-Star Murkstrider, but that's about it. Though I'm sure I'm forgetting of at least one recently printed card, so let me know in the comments what that is. So, much like energy, the exile zone of another player is largely untouchable, uninteractable, if you will. Is this a problem? Do we need a Rest in Peace type of card for the exile zone? If so, where would we send those cards? Back to the graveyard? Or to a new zone entirely? Perhaps given the theme of space and Edge of Eternities, we can call this zone a black hole, or the void. So what do you think? Is Cosmogoyf busted? Unfair? It does die to just about all the commonly played removal spells after all. But how many more cards like it need to be printed before Wizards should give us more and better ways to interact with the exile zone? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching, and be sure to check out cyclesgaming.com, where you can read all my modern janky content and watch my janky videos, and click that subscribe button. Everybody counts. I'll catch y'all in the next one.